All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Here we are from the official On the Money Sports Lounge at Casa de Money, coming to you live on podcast night. We are the mega powers of podcasting, bringing you another edition of On the Money podcast slash old school time. That's right, here alongside me, as always, none other, brandishing one of the exclusive On the Money Sports hoodies. Oscar Money Muniz is in the house.
What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing tonight out there? Everything's going to be streaming hopefully by the end of this month. You know, we got a lot in the works that we got to take care of.
We're going back. We're going old school, baby. We're starting over.
Yeah.
And super excited about it. Super excited to be in the On the Money Sports Lounge, the domain for football, nostalgia mania, and everything else in between. This is where we are going to be doing our shows moving forward for the foreseeable future. And we're excited about this, man. Like we're getting back to our roots as far as the podcast goes, as far as the beginning of time with On the Money Sports. We even got the old school snow microphone, the snow globe microphone that's set up here, propped up next to us. Hopefully everybody can hear us clearly. I'm just sharing the episode onto all the pages as we get settled in and get ready for another edition of a new look On the Money podcast. Before we go any further, though, I'd just like to say truly from my heart, I want to wish nothing but the best for the Cook-Up family and our guys there and our girls, everybody there who we've been able to get to know over the last 3 years. The time that we've spent in there and the opportunity that they gave us for us to be able to bring what we bring to the table on a weekly basis for everybody, and just to have that connection and to have established those friendships in this last 3 years has been a dope experience.
Amazing experience.
Wishing them nothing but the absolute best moving forward. And hopefully have some of those guys on the wrestling podcasts when we start to really kick those into high gear, because that's what's coming in the foreseeable future. We're starting to branch out a little bit as far as the content that we are going to be putting out there. We're just really right now lining up our ducks and making sure that we are in a position where we're ready to present the content to the best of our abilities based on our resources.
Yeah,
it's the most politically correct answer I could give. But
there's no beef, there's no nothing. It's just
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's always going to be all love.
Work schedules make you do things that eventually you just can't do no more, and it's become very taxing, especially for me. Living in Millville, driving to Vineland, go back to Millville, like it was tough. It was tough. So it has nothing to do with them. The resources they provided, the appearance, the lighting, the brick background, like the whole nine, like it was a great, wonderful time. We're still friends with all of them. We got a lot in store.
Absolutely. What's up? What's going on, Terrell? Fresh off of the trade that he and I just made. What's going on, Paul? What up, Serge? Yeah, so this is kind of like the season premiere of what we're gonna be doing moving forward. We're taking it back to the beginning as far as our podcast, where it all started. We would start doing this at Oscar's old place in the basement. We'd get into the shouting matches and have the 3-hour podcast. And man, like looking at how far we've come to this point, like where we were then. And just going back and listening to some of that stuff on the SoundCloud, which at the time we were uploading the audios on SoundCloud. We didn't even have like the cameras or anything like that. Like it's just it's dope to see everything come back into full circle. I'm super excited, and I'm really, really excited to start to branch out and again start to give you more than just the weekly podcast type content. Like we're gonna deep dive, like we've got a lot of the Marvel stuff that's coming out, so we're going to get a little bit of nostalgia mania, wrestling, all that good stuff and everything in between.
The end credit scene leaked out already, I heard.
Yeah, end credit scene to the Marvel.
I'm prepared to be spoiled, so I'll probably watch it later tonight.
You've got so interesting trade. I'm getting spicy lately, saying fuck it after my sick picks debacle. Yeah, I like this trade. I like this trade a lot. I was just telling Oscar about it before we went live. But this, like, I kind of forgot to mention that in the introduction of today's episode. We are now heading into week 10 of the regular season and the fantasy football season. And right now,
What
by
up,
week 10,
Chris?
you're seeing more or less like where you're standing compared to your league mates, where your real team is. And you're also looking at where the trade deadline is in your leagues and making some moves, And there are some teams that are just completely selling their teams away for no particular reason at all, which I don't understand. A lot of stuff still getting vetoed out there. It's going to happen. It's part of the process.
Should we veto that second trade?
I don't think that's veto worthy, in my opinion. I think that they cleaned it up with the second trade. I think the second trade is good. I told Nick the same thing. I think that it's at a situation where, to be quite honest, and it's just like with fantasy football, you just have to let people learn. You have to let people learn on their own way, whether it's them like selling off their players and not getting the return that they expect, or just whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where the last trade they did together, I don't think it's veto worthy. It's just you're still getting fleeced, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? Just let them learn, because that league is not even going to be around next year anyway. So I don't think that, like,
A lot of
in the
mistakes
big
are made in that
picture,
league.
in the big picture, I don't think that vetoing the second trade would prevent anything or save anything at the same time. That's where I'm at with it. At this point, I don't give a shit.
You're right.
At this point, I'm ramping up to be able to have the best possible healthy roster in that league so that I could beat everybody and make all those trades pointless. You know? The one I just did with Terrell, though, I feel really good about. It was Justin Jefferson for Devontae Adams and Jordan Addison. We're both taking on a whole lot of risk on both sides of the trade across the board, especially when you look at the quarterbacks who are now throwing to these guys. As this past week, we lost another starting quarterback as well, with Danny Dimes out for the year. Justin Jefferson it's only a matter of time before he is activated from the PUP list. Justin Jefferson, James Conner, Kyler Murray, a lot of familiar faces are starting to come back into the fold at a very crucial time, right smack dab in the middle of the football season. We have Devon Achane, who's going to be, making his comeback next week alongside Kyron Williams and guys that have just been MIA, sitting on the IR spot and couldn't really do much with them. Some of them you just had stashed for this particular moment, and depending on the depth of your team, not having Jefferson there maybe destroyed you. Maybe you found other options while he was gone. I know in the league that I just traded Jefferson in, I am currently 2-7, and I'm going up against Mikey, who is 2-7, and we are the 9th and 10th place teams in the 10-man league with 8 playoff spots. So that means that this week, Mikey and I are playing for our fantasy seasons, both at 2-7. The loser of that game is completely washed. Like, they're absolutely done. And
You think?
yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be tough to come back from that game in particular, even with the 8 playoff spots. I just going 2-8 and then having 4 weeks to turn it around and still try to. I mean, crazier things have happened. I don't know. I don't think it's a good omen to lose that particular game. So I'm very glad.
One more win for me. I'm in the playoffs in True Legends already.
Tribal Chiefs. Would you
Yes.
say that's your strongest
Tribal
fantasy
Chiefs is
football
the
team?
strongest team I have.
If you're watching right
Then
now,
after that, it's a close second between the Evil Warriors and my other team in the sick picks.
it is spicy, but I had to get spicy. You got no choice but to get spicy when you're sitting at 2-7.
I mean, it's rough. Adams
rough
hasn't
out
given
here.
shit for the last month.
He hasn't, but I'll take my shot with him. And I got Addison too. Like I said, if I don't make this trade this week, my wide receivers 1 and 2 were going to be Drake London and JSN. So in a matchup where I'm fighting for my life, I want to try to bring the sharpest knives to the fight. And Devontae Adams, going up against a really, really tough secondary with the New York Football Jets. But after what I saw this past week in Monday Night Football, where the Jets absolutely destroyed my parlay, there could be some extra opportunities out there for Devontae Adams as far as, them being able to score and potentially beat the Jets on Sunday Night Football.
They're going to beat the Jets on Sunday night. The problem is the Jets.
I was caught up in the moment with the Jets last week.
Yeah,
and
you
it
were.
all came crashing down.
Yes, you were.
It came crashing down hard.
I told you I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, but I loved it. It all made sense. I was like, yeah, they're going to beat them.
But the Chargers look just as bad, though, man.
Yeah, defense looked good, but again, we're comparing it to, the product on the field for the Jets as far as their offense. So that's kind of where, who's really good is basically, now with the Raiders, the Raiders defense has been making plays last couple of weeks, and you give them an offense like this with Zach Wilson, this should be, a good day for.
And the Jets had another lineman get hurt for the year.
Yeah. So people who have been riding with the Raiders, the Raiders have been a pretty good streamer defense for fantasy. You got to know when. I told
Here's
Alexa
the thing,
this.
though.
Like, you got to know when to pull them out of the lineup.
The Jets just got to find the way to stay a game under 500. They can't go under 2 games under 500 because, long and behold, their knight in shining armor said, "I'll be back in a few weeks." When he was in the post-game conference with
Rodgers,
when he was talking to Derwin James in the middle of the hot mic, picked it up.
Adams
when Derwin said, "Hey, when you coming back, give me a few weeks."
Adams has been killing a few people. I'm sure of it. But Justin Jefferson wasn't.
I'm glad Mikey didn't make that trade with me in the offseason.
My worst record sleeper team is the League of Boom at 4-5. That's good if that's your worst record team. I got 2-7 teams. I've got a 3-6, and then everything else is.
I got a 2-7, 3-6, 7-2.
Just got a win over the Eagles. And people got hyped on them. I was more so believing in the Jets defense and their ability to sort of keep the Jets in every ball game, but I underestimated Zach Wilson's ability to take the Jets out of ball games, I guess is what you could say. I forgot that he was that bad, and he kind of gave us a reminder this past Monday night and just let the world know, like, hey, guys, Jets fans, I know we're home. Don't get your hopes up. I know we're playing the Chargers, but, I am not going to allow us to win this football game. And he did. He did an amazing job of that. What up, Mike D?
Fantastic job of that.
Mike D is just checking in right now. Mike D, I just acquired your boy, bro. I just acquired your hero, Devontae Adams, and I'm going to use him against you in the survival match of the longest yard league.
The Yahoo League.
You're
all 3-6. Ain't that the baseball league?
Oh, no. That's the baseball league players that we all formed the football league from the baseball league players. We took the South Jersey Misfits baseball or whatever.
Is Rick in that league?
Rick is in this football league. I beat Rick week 2, matter of fact, and this week is our rematch. He can't stop talking about it. He's so excited because I won't have my Dolphins stack this week. So I think he feels like he has a shot at actually beating me this week because Tyreek Hill danced all over him in our first matchup. So he's gearing up. He's got everybody in his starting positions. In that league, I have
the
Tua.
Eagles don't play this week?
No, they're off. It's
the
Eagles,
so you're right.
It's the Chiefs, it's the Dolphins, and it's the Rams on bye this week. So a lot of big hot shot names as far as fantasy football goes, whether it's quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers.
You know, you're right, because I looked at my True Legends and I seen bye. I seen
Yeah.
I already knew the Dolphins had their bye, but then I seen AJ Brown with the bye. I was like, oh.
It's a tough bye week because of the teams that are out and the quality of players.
In that league, I'm okay. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing about that league too. There's no buys in the playoffs, so everybody plays.
In what league?
In True Legends, there's no buys.
It's eight playoff team format. There's no bye week, so if you're the 1 seed, guess what? You're playing on wild card weekend, and you can lose to the fumbling 8 seed that made it on the very last week of the season.
The second year you were there, remember when I had 10 wins?
Yeah, you were rolling.
I was 10 wins, eliminated the first round. I looked at my phone like, what?
For the Vikings. And last year, if I'm not mistaken, I beat Heavy D, who had won like 9 or 10 games, and I'm coming in starting out at 2-4 and then just going on a run. And then I got destroyed the following week by Bobby, but it happens. And just having that 8 playoff team format adds a whole new twist to it, because depending on the league size, you just don't want to be in those last place spots. And you also know that your percentage of being able to make the playoffs goes up a tad bit more than if you are in a 16 playoffs, where there's a lot of leagues that I'm in that have 16 playoff spots where teams that have 8-1 records clinched the playoff spot this past week. So you're starting to see the little
Oscar, you
X's
cannot
next to
F and
teams'
hide
names.
this week. Love is in the air.
Oh boy,
I ain't
forgot.
running. I ain't hiding.
It's the Steelers versus the Packers this week in Week 10. That's what, the 1 p.m.
4:30.
slate? That's 4:30. Interesting. I thought that would be a 1 o'clock game.
That's 4:30.
Was it Green Bay?
Yeah. Oh, it's in Pittsburgh.
It's in Pittsburgh. Oh,
and we're rocking the blocks.
So it's Packers versus Steelers. Before we even get to Sunday's slate, we've got Thursday night football. We got the news that Justin Fields is officially doubtful for the game. So Tyler Badgett is getting fired up once again for the start. That's great news if you have Cole Kmet, because he loves himself some Cole Kmet. He peppers them with targets, and it's just the best thing in the world. Tyler Badgett has actually been good for fantasy football, I dare say. He hasn't really been an issue. The issue has been, those of us who were excited for Justin Fields to go out there and lead us to victory.
And he was giving us that, and then
he was giving us that sample size of that, and
he
then
finally
he's
got
been
it
gone
going
for a month,
and then bam.
And it's been tough. It's been tough sledding with a lot of these names that have just not been in the picture, which is all the more reason to not get caught up in the names and just simply look at the production. Look at what the player is doing. Look at the player, the value of the player to your team. And that's all you can do, bro. And then after that, on Sunday, you're just looking up at the screen like the rest of us, hoping that your name gets called. Because that's really, especially after the first 9 weeks of football that we just got, there was some hideous things out there. Absolutely atrocious.
What it do, Julio?
What's up, Julio?
Paul is still his better win.
Well, that game is not in my on the money picks. So I'm just staying, there's certain games I'm staying completely away from. I want to keep my good record intact. I went 4-1 in my on the money picks last week. If it wasn't for the damn Jets, it would have been another perfect 5-0. Do you see a potential Aaron Rodgers return? Do we ring the bell on the Jets? Is there some type of silver lining, or like what goes on from here? A potential wild card team of yours in August.
Oh man, they got to stay near 500. If he legit comes back,
just hover.
If this is 500 and you're right here,
just hover.
You can do it.
I think we all picked the Jets.
Bro, the East is frauds.
The East is frauds.
Miami is
frauds. The Bills still can't beat the Bengals.
Miami is freaking Hulk Hogan of the 80s against the bums. But then he's Hulk Hogan of 93 doing the jobs to Yoko and the gang.
Yeah,
when they face 500.
Dolphins haven't beaten a good team yet. And that's a tough storyline to take into the bye week after losing in Germany this past Sunday morning. And, the Tyreek Hill fumble after everything that was said back and forth. And, a lot back because Tyreek was talking a lot of shit.
It's weird, though, that they let that be a fumble because his forward progress was already stopped.
I was almost waiting for the whistle, and it never came, and I'm realizing, oh, this is a live play.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, but his forward progress has been stopped. Why ain't they calling, the whistle? I'm surprised because they'll blow the whistle any other time quick as hell.
If they're close to the wild card, Rodgers will come back. Maybe. I think that, I guess it kind of helps them that their division is so just...
The Bills can't beat a good team.
We didn't think it was up for grabs, but
the
it
Bills
is.
Have not beaten Joe Burrow ever.
They can't beat him.
It's insane.
I confidently made that pick last week of Bengals over Bills because I already knew, and the game looked a lot like what I imagined it would look like, but I was still just...
That game cost my dad the football pool.
As a Josh Allen owner, it's because frustrating. It's just like, come on, man.
He picked the right team Monday night, but he picked too many points. Had the Bills just done their job, my dad won the pool.
They did not do their job. They haven't done their job for a while.
The Dolphins are like Gilbert when they play some real teams.
Go
Giants! What's up, Seth?
Because I don't think we expected. I don't know what our expectations were of Miami heading into the season. I know I had them as the 3 seed back in August when we did the official breakdown. What up, Seth? But are the Buffalo Bills the biggest disappointment this season overall? Like,
dude, they're 5-4.
Are they they're not in the playoff picture as we speak?
Yeah.
So, like,
the AFC North is they're not.
The Jets' best hope is for the Bills to keep doing more of what the Bills are doing. And now you have a case where it's like, okay, there's a 7 seed, which looks like it could be anybody's.
On Black Friday, they play the Dolphins.
Oh, man.
Day after Turkey Day. So the Jets truly, honestly, if they could just get something from Zach Wilson.
It was so disappointing that it got people really starting to question, like,
if they are 500 come the first weekend of December, I think Aaron Rodgers plays.
Were the Giants the biggest disappointment, or were we kind of heading into this season sort of giving them too much credit? Like, last year starting to look a lot more like
Pretty sure the Giants were the biggest disappointment.
Look, I'm saying, were they, or did we all just kind of get a reality check as far as the New York Football Giants and where they actually stand? Like, a lot of things went right for them last year. Not saying that things couldn't go right for them.
If you're a Giants fan, it's going to behoove you to lose the rest of the year.
Yes. You got to tank.
If you're a Giants fan,
like that,
it's going to behoove you to hope that the Panthers and the Bears start reeling out wins. And if those two things happen, you could become maybe the top or the second. You're going to be picking in the top 2, and you might have a chance at a quarterback.
Because here's your situation. Danny Dimes is done. The $40 million plus man a year is absolutely done. You've got Tommy DeVito that's going out there and getting the start this next week. What are you actually playing for at the end of the day? I know the expectations were high. You made the playoffs last year. You beat the Vikings in the playoffs. You got that feeling. You got that good feeling going into this season. This did not play out in any way, shape, or form the way you wanted it to.
I didn't think they were going to be this bad.
They are the drizzling shits, and DeVito's coming back out for a start this week. And you, at the moment, currently have a very good position as far as the draft right now. So why screw that up by trying to win this football game? Even though I don't think they will or can win this game. I'm just saying.
Do the Giants fans want Caleb if he comes out of college?
Is that what Giants fans want? What are the chances that Tommy DeVito actually coming in and surprising people? Against the Cowboys,
me losing 50 pounds overnight. That's the chances.
Tommy DeVito is not going to surprise anybody this week. We're going to see Tommy DeVito coming from a mile away. And
they did sign a quarterback. They signed Barkley.
They did, but they're going to start DeVito over Barkley. And depending, I guess, on how bad DeVito does, or if DeVito gets hurt because no Giants quarterback can stay healthy this year, then you plug in Matt Barkley into the fold. And now you've got Saquon Barkley and Matt Barkley together. And, that just screams tank louder than anything else. Yeah, I don't know. I think that people were drinking the Kool-Aid as far as the G-men this year. I plugged them in last minute as a wild card.
Mikey, no need to keep winning games at this point. I say we go for the top 5 pick, hopefully the 2, and we either take Marvin Harrison Jr. or trade back, stock up on picks, and draft an O-line. I think if you can trade back and still get the top O-line in the draft, I'd do it. A lot of people are falling out of love with Caleb from USC, especially after he started crying after the game this past weekend. There's nothing about, listen, there's nothing wrong about letting your emotions out. But, dude, go do that in private. Don't do that in public. That's one. Maybe I just grew up in a different era. 2, you got to beat a winning team sometime, bruh. If you're going to have all these demands for your next team in the NFL, wherever you get drafted, you got to beat top tier teams in college too, my man.
I think it just throws next year's draft for more of a loop. It just creates more.
So,
it creates more
and
chaos.
it makes you start to wonder, like, is he really that good? So we'll see. I personally, there's too many red flags for me. Like I said, I'm not mad he let his emotions out.
Hashtag let that boy cry.
But, dude, there's a time and a place, and it's this generation when they're hit with adversity, they don't know how to act. They crumble in pressure.
So what are the Giants? You say the offensive line is
what I think you go up, just build a line.
So we are
confirming. You got to pay Daniel Jones $40 million no matter what next year.
Operation Tank in full effect right now. We're officially calling it right now in the On the Money Sports Lounge. Live in the On the Money Sports Lounge. We're On the Money podcast. The official hashtag Giants tank job. The hashtag DeVito in full effect right now, because it would behoove them, like you said, to go into the rest of this season knowing their situation, being honest with themselves about their situation. $40 million next year it's already on Danny Dimes' front doorstep, okay? And he's coming back next year to be the starting quarterback. After that, however, that adds another twist into the situation, because how safe will Brian Daboll's seat be for next year if we're talking about, a rebuild, which is what this sounds like, which wasn't what the conversation was at the beginning of the season. The hopes were a little bit higher.
But here's another thing. They still need a number one wide receiver. They still need a playmaker at wide receiver.
Well, now.
But they need to, like, Andrew Thomas has been out of the lineup since the first half of the game.
Darren Waller's on IR.
Darren Waller, we now find out he's on IR, but he also has a nerve issue with that hamstring, so it's a permanent problem. Barkley's gone after this year unless you're going to give him what he wants. So this almost sounds eerily like a rebuild.
And now every defense is going to stack.
But what are we doing? Rebuilding every 4 or 5 years?
I think
everybody blamed Gettleman, but now, like, what are we doing?
I think that they just started feeling themselves a lot after last season and the success they had last year, and they weren't completely.
They should have been a team that went after DeAndre Hopkins.
I got slightly delusional about what this year was going to bring along for them, and then the reality check is the situation that we see before us, which is that the New York Football Giants are a complete and total disaster. And we know we're going across the board and talking about a lot of teams at one time, but that's just the reality of now at this point in the season, heading into week 10, we are seeing these football teams for what they really are.
After this week,
and it's actually a bit alarming.
After this week, there's 8 more weeks in the season left. Everybody's job should be on the line in New York. Everybody's job.
And then if you're the head coach, it's like you're watching a team which the instructions are to tank, and you don't even know if you're going to be around for the other side of the tank.
He'll get 1 more year.
That's it. 1 year, though. 1 year isn't enough. 1 year isn't enough to fix this.
I don't know.
They're
just missing a couple pieces. Honestly,
oh boy,
they need a center.
They're further away than they.
They just got another piece or two on the line, a number 1 wide receiver, and Jones will play adequate. But at the same time, you also got to keep Barkley.
Danny Dimes ain't it. I'm sorry.
Listen, it doesn't matter.
He ain't going anywhere. Yeah, he ain't going anywhere. But I'm letting you know, Danny Dimes ain't it. That's why I'm saying it's going to take more than a year, because it's going to be ugly before it gets better at this point for this football team. Jets have so much more hope than the Giants do as far as the 2023 football season. We could talk about 2024 later and what the Giants could do right and wrong.
2023 season's over for the Giants. The season the Giants are having is what I thought Washington was going to have, and I thought they would be Washington, where they win a couple, lose a couple, win a couple, lose a couple, but sneak into the playoffs. Then you got, the Minnesota Vikings that started 1-4 and to turn their whole season around.
Dobbs with the come from behind victory.
They lost their leader
and didn't even know his teammates' names, and he's just throwing them the ball, leading them to victory against the Atlanta Falcons and Arthur Smith, the man who was trying to set football back to a time
Bro,
period that
because someone explained to me.
Bijan. I it's like the trigger.
Please. Does he
Yo.
realize he used the 8th overall pick on one of the most talented running backs to come out of college,
He's
and
wilding.
Bijan Robinson, 11 carries.
You can't even blame Desmond Ridder this time because
Yeah.
you switch quarterbacks and Kyle Pitts is getting more looks. But even though he's not getting a lot of looks, Kyle Pitts
Come on. He's your best. Tough. I don't understand. He's your best running back out of the trio that you like running with. Why is he getting the least burn?
They love Algier out there.
Algier's getting stopped for 3-yard gains. When Robinson gets the ball, it's sometimes, he can pop a 7, pop a 10.
Arthur Smith just
like, what the hell are we doing, bro?
Stroking his mustache on the sidelines, calling another run play.
Dude's gonna get fired.
Yeah, yes he is. But the Atlanta Falcons can also rattle off a couple of wins and still win that division the next couple of weeks.
You're right.
Dude,
but if I'm Arthur Blank,
duds.
I'm going down there saying, dude, why did you tell me to use my 8th overall pick if you're not even using them?
What up, Rob? Rose is in the house. Seth is in the house.
What the hell are we doing?
Shout out to the guys from the forum for tapping in with us on the New Look on the Money podcast live from the lounge.
Oh.
Breaking down everything going on right now in football.
It's the same argument I have with the Chiefs.
Bijan Robinson.
You have Pacheco and you don't use him enough.
Pacheco gets used way more than Bijan does, though.
Oh, yeah, but not enough.
Bijan,
Pacheco should be getting no less than 25 carries a game.
Because of what people spent.
Listen, if you want Algier to get his carries, okay, you want Algier to get 10 carries. I'm okay with that. But still, the other 25 carries should be in Bijan Robinson's hand.
Because
he is the best player you have.
On Bijan Robinson, there's going to be a certain amount of carries before it is adequate enough, before you say you're satisfied. Whereas Pacheco, you might have gotten at a value, and you definitely got your money's worth out of Pacheco, drafting him in the lower rounds and, getting the production that he's given, where Bijan is coming out here and giving 0.90s to people. And you went out there and first round, second round,
it goes deeper than fantasy
and reached out for him, and it does go deeper than fantasy football, which is the reality of the Atlanta Falcons situation. Is this year they could win their division and get back into the playoffs.
You know how many times I was watching the game this past weekend? It looked like the Saints were trying to let the Bears win.
Bears couldn't do it though.
The Bucks almost beating Texans. Like, what?
That game was amazing. The fantasy gold mine of the week ended up being Tampa Bay Bucks and Houston Texans. CJ Stroud went out there and was out of his freaking mind. He made almost every piece of the Houston Texans offense viable. And
I can't believe I'm saying it, but this Sunday he might be in for a long afternoon.
Why? Cincinnati's a better team.
Yeah, but he might be in for a long afternoon.
There's no spoiler to that. That's just you taking the AFC North hate out of your heart long enough to be objective about a situation where, especially if you started Stroud last week, you're on top of the world. Yeah. You're like, 5 touchdowns.
I'm putting him back in.
Gotta plug him in.
Then after Sunday, after 1 o'clock, you're gonna look at like a 22-point game.
1 touchdown, 2 picks. Because the Bengals defense is a different animal than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. And not for nothing, the Bucs were putting up points too. So again, that was the fantasy football gold mine of the week, because you had, Rachaad White, who a lot of people were wondering like where he stands. And now it's looking like, okay, Rachaad White in a land where the running back situation has been so ugly, to be able to find a Rachaad White, you know what I mean? It's like the kid that can sing. Your eyes just a little twinkle in your eyes, because it's like, oh man, like I didn't know who I was gonna put at the RB2 spot this week. There's so many notable teams that are off this week. You don't have the DeAndre Swift option, the Pacheco option. You need to be able to know if Rachaad White can be that person. Because Zach Moss ain't anymore. That shit's done, buddy. You cashed in on him last month. You got the hell out of there, and that's all she wrote, pal.
Hey, that was a great waiver wire.
That was a great run. That was a great run. It was.
I ain't complaining one bit about that. I mean, he had a couple good games too, but they just completely stopped using him. which sucks because I would use both. Like, why not? It's not like Zach Moss didn't show you anything better, but the Colts are winning too, though. So
Jonathan Taylor's taking over.
I know
He's taking over.
the ball's less coming out of Minshew's hands, where he won't be turning the ball over as much.
I mean, and their defense had 2 pick sixes this past week. Let's not forget that makes a huge difference. Like when you're a Gardner Minshew and the defense is giving you 2 touchdowns, like what else you got to do? What else? You're not going to go out there and air it out for anybody who's
started the Colts defense.
That was a hell of a play. They got like 29 points.
I picked the Colts defense up, and then I benched the Chiefs defense because I was worried about Miami. But they put up respectable points too.
Browns defense gave me like 31. Arizona had a total of 58 offensive yards with Clayton Tune in the fold. But never fear, because this week is the return of Kyler Murray from the PUP list. He will be making his start going up against these Falcons that we just talked about. A battle of the birds. We've got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Atlanta Falcons. One team that we, from the beginning, have suspected of tanking. Another team in the Atlanta Falcons that we're just not really sure what the hell they're going to do on a week-to-week basis. But nonetheless, it's going to be an interesting matchup.
How many people, including me, well, besides me, bench Ramondre Stevenson this past weekend?
Sure, a lot of people. At this point, it was an easy decision to make.
True Legends, I would have had 57.9.
Yeah, 57 points in True Legends. Wow. Was that like the best start of the season for him?
Yeah, because he had the bonus.
Wow. And they got Indy on 9:30 in the morning.
You know what helped me win that game against Twin, right? It was the fact that your boy Gabe Davis did what he normally does about 3 to 4 times a game a year.
My goodness. I'm scared just thinking about the fact that I almost plugged him into my starting lineup last week. Like, I was really sitting there and thinking Tyler Lockett or Gabe Davis, Tyler Lockett or Gabe Davis. I finally went with Lockett and left Davis on the bench, and then I saw the 0.0, and I got like a chill. Koo gave me 24 points. Oh, yeah. Young-Ho Koo was eating last week. That shit comes in handy, bro. When you've got the Browns giving you 31 points and you've got Young-Ho Koo giving you 24 points, you can overlook a lot of bullshit that goes on in your flex spots and your art running back spots for sure. Because, like we said, it's been an ugly season. Yeah, yes, he was. They just weren't able to cash in, and Josh Dobbs ended up cashing in on them, officially getting the starting job now for the Minnesota Vikings. 1 week onto the roster, having just gotten the playbook.
I'm happy for him.
Getting Justin Jefferson, who is soon about to be, back into the mix as far as this Vikings team, which at first we thought might be packing their shit and going home, but they can make a run. They can get into a wild card situation with this football team. I'm sure that they believe that with what they have. It's unfortunate what happened with Cam Akers. I know you being one of those Cam Akers guys, like him being done.
That sucked.
Just put another one on the shelf as far as running backs that we thought were going to do something and can't use them, can't do anything with them. I saw a lot of people this past week dropping Cam Akers, but for the Minnesota Vikings, they feel like with what they have presently constructed, they can at least make a push and get a wild card spot. Looking at how the NFC is built, I can see it for them. The NFC came out of the gate hot and then sort of cooled down a little bit as far as a lot of these teams. We saw it with the Cowboys this past weekend. Like, teams are starting to look like, what we thought they were. San Francisco, the 3-game slump that they had heading into the bye week. We'll see how they come out this week. I'm expecting them to.
Oh, so this dude's out with a concussion that they put in.
Who? Yes, they can. You never underestimate your defense.
They said
and
Josh
kickers.
Dobbs with the playbook in 1 week.
Just absorbing each page.
That might be the funniest thing I've seen.
And that's what he needed. He just needed to be out there just winging it, bro. We've done it before when we're down 8 points in Madden. You're just calling plays, bro. And that's what happened. And that's how the Vikings ended up stealing a win from the Atlanta Falcons. And You could tell Arthur Smith was on the sidelines looking at the field like he got slapped silly, bro. The Vikings slapped him silly. It was one of those funny moments over the weekend that you see as I'm chilling at Casa de Soto watching this game, and I'm like, yo, like, what the hell did I just watch?
It
Baltimore
looks like The
defense.
Rock and John Cena will both be heading back to Hollywood. The strike is officially over
There you go.
for the actors.
Yeah, we're going to be getting more content now. That's why we're getting all these previews, because they officially know this. They had the previews lined up already.
Mm-hmm.
They were just waiting for the strike to be
Yeah, the
officially over.
Ghostbusters movie looks pretty cool.
Yeah, Baltimore's defense. Hey, guess what, guys? Newsflash. The Baltimore Ravens are good. Lamar Jackson is not putting up eye-popping fantasy football numbers, but he's making like the right decisions in real life. And his football team, led by his top 5 defense, is out there winning freaking games. The Gus Bus had 2 touchdowns. Keontae Mitchell had everybody going out there and spending ridiculous amounts of fab on him. Keontae was probably the waiver pickup of the week, which I wasn't buying into that shit. Keontae Mitchell.
A lot of people bid into that one.
Everybody. I wasn't doing it because I already know how the Ravens work. You're going to see all 3 of the running backs.
Everybody's going to be hyped that Mitchell got all those touches because the game was out of hand already.
Gus is going to get the first 7 touches.
Yeah.
And people are going to be like, what the fuck did I just do?
Wasted all that for what?
Just wasted all my fab for the rest of the year on this guy. Now, mind you, the Gus Bus did get the least amount of touches last week, but look at what he did with the least amount of touches. 2 touchdowns later. So you can't take last week's game script into this week's game script. I think that Keontae Mitchell is potentially the most overhyped player from last week. Looking at, where his projections are right now and everything, going up against, a Cleveland Browns defense that only allowed the Cardinals to get 58 total yards. No part of me in any way or capacity would be excited about starting a Keontae Mitchell or a Gus Bus for that matter.
Gus Bus.
Gus is my boy. Like last 2 weeks, I've been starting him and he's been helping me get wins. This week against the Cleveland Browns defense, I'm looking at other options. I'm looking for the Brian Robinsons of the world, or hell, even the freaking Tyler Algiers, the way the Falcons love him. Like, I think Tyler Algier is a safe play, guys. Don't let the 8-point projection next to his name fool you. That the Atlanta Falcons are going to let that man eat. They're going to let that man eat.
Makes no sense.
What up, Drew? What's going on, bro? What's the story with your basketball team right now? I'm not talking about the Sixers. I'm talking about your Supreme Baller Society basketball team. What's going on, my friend? 38-25, Rockets leading the Lakers in the second. I'm excited about the Rockets this year. The Rockets are actually fun to watch this year. It actually feels different. Falcons had a mid-tier QB. They'd have easily won that game. I mean, yeah, you could say that about a couple of the games that the Falcons have been in. It's been 1 possessions. Taylor Heineke does bring a little more oomph to the table, but the Atlanta Falcons are a team that could potentially be looking for a quarterback, again next year, because we know Taylor Heineke isn't the franchise, and we know Desmond Ridder isn't the franchise. So
it's a shame.
The Falcons are still trying to figure it out, like a lot of teams.
Ridder had potential too. The chef is ready to serve Terrell filet mignon with the side of mashed L's.
57-52, Nets leading the Clippers. Shout out to the guys for giving us the live updates because, yes, basketball is back. It was weird yesterday. There was no games yesterday. Sixers and Celtics are playing right now. So a lot of basketball underway as we are live for On the Money podcast. We are in officially week 3 of the fantasy basketball season. Somehow I managed to tie in both my basketball leagues last week. So I am currently 1-0-1. And then in my other league, I'm 4-4 because it takes the categories that you lead and it turns that into your overall standings. So, yeah, I managed to tie in 2 leagues. And I have Anthony Davis, and lo and behold, he's hurt. So he can't play tonight. So
how are we better when Harden leaves? Wasn't he supposed to make us better? Addition by subtraction, this almost seems like.
You tell me, tough guy.
I mean, the other day they got more out of Robert Covington than they got out of PJ Tucker for a whole year.
Robert Covington's a good player. He's the best player that they acquired from that deal. And he is an all-around player. a crazy wingspan, so he can play 4 different positions.
And listen, let me make it perfectly clear. I'm a Kelly Oubre fan. I told you that signing could turn into a real good signing for them.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. It's still very, very early in the season, but not early enough for Anthony Davis to get injured and be out of the picture for the Los
Because you
Angeles
guys are
Lakers.
playing on the same page. Harden was about himself. Remember, he is the system.
He is the system.
How did his debut go?
Anybody who hasn't watched the video of him walking into the Clippers locker room,
I'll do it right here for you. Hold on.
It only takes less than a minute. You're like he walked into the wrong room. I said in the group chat, bro, he looked around and was ready to quit on another team because it was ice cold in there. The only person that spoke was Westbrook. There were only 2 or 3 actual Clippers players in the freaking room. So Drew said that the rest of the team was at Benihana's. The iciest welcoming for a player that I've seen in a very long time, and he deserves it. He's a snake. That's what he gets. And Russ telling him to stay on that side of the locker room, like laughing, but at the same time, like no one else is laughing. So it's one of those things that he probably said before Harden walked into the room.
I started Tobias last week in my fantasy league. He gave me the one night he gave me a 30-point game. I was like, I'll take that for my utility spot.
Tobias is good for fantasy basketball for the most part. You know, he'll give you those 11 points, but then he'll have those 30-plus point games, and you gotta know when to use him. He fits the mold of a Kuzmania type of guy. Like he'll give you something. He got promoted week 3. Hammy is in Brooklyn tonight, about to check his stats. Yeah, the Clippers are playing the Nets.
Nets world.
Clippers lost the debut with James Harden against the New York Knicks, so now they're playing the other New York team. Quite frankly, I already know how the story ends when it comes to Harden. For the most part, I know how the story ends when it comes to the Clippers. So
he's getting booed, and in Brooklyn they keep chanting Daryl Morey at him.
Well, Jalen Green is on fire. I just got the notification about Jalen Green, so that's a good thing. I might check my stats in a little bit. But right now, the comments are flowing. The guys are checked in. Supreme Baller Society is tapped in, which means League of Boom is tapped in. You know, we got sick picks in the house. A lot of the leagues all tuned in for a very, very crucial point in the real football season and the fantasy football season. A lot of the questions that we were asking ourselves back in August, we got some harsh answers for those questions, you know. So now it's a question of what do we do with this reality? How do we take this? You know, the teams that have tripped and fallen, and the big monster is coming to get them.
From now on, anything Doctor Strange predicts from this moment forward, I'll believe.
I'm keeping it light with my basketball predictions at this point. I am watching. I've been tuning in a little bit more. I'm tapping into some of the highlights, not watching as many full games, but just, you know, trying to keep up. It's football season, so that's basically how it works for me. I do what I can when it comes to basketball, but I've definitely been tapping into what's going on. So I have my playoff picture already set up in this very book. It's still in here, and I can tweak it if I need to. But as of right now, my finals prediction remains Denver Nuggets versus Boston Celtics. That's what it is right now. All right.
So early to change.
I'm not changing. There's no reason to change that. Not going to get crazy. I'm feeling a little bit better about my Clippers getting eliminated early because of the cancer that just walked into the room. And you could like, look at Terrence Mann's face, and that tells the whole story.
I bet you Terrence Mann was like, y'all ain't trade me with him. Like, come on, bro. I don't want the Philly.
Yeah, I'll save it. I gotta see more basketball. And don't worry, I will not disappoint. I will drop my official Doctor Strange predictions in the second half of the basketball season, and I will be ready to argue with the same people that later on will tell me, you know what, bro, you were right. You were right about it. It's like I know, because I took all the emotion out of it.
That's true, Paul. I was looking forward to that fight, but then he tore his back.
Versus the Bulls will be in minutes restriction. Yeah, Bradley Beal's making his debut, going up against the Chicago Bulls.
The spotlight struck Tatum 2 finals in a row. Oof.
Yeah, it did. That is for sure. But I do think that this is the team that can get back. Like, they can get back to the finals this year. They definitely can. This is still, for those who might hate to hear it, Boston Celtics window. But you can say the same thing about the, Bucks as far as their window, Phoenix Suns window, the Denver Nuggets window for sure. The window's wide open for the Nuggets, and there's a pie on the windowsill, and Jokic is outside just talking to his horse and like kissing it. You know what I mean? Like the Denver Nuggets are just out here on a nightly basis, just putting on a clinic after having won the championship. So now it's a question of like, what are going to be the teams that we can actually add to that conversation about of those top four? Bucks, Celtics, Suns, Nuggets. Like, who's that fifth and sixth team that can, they can give them a run. They might not be able to beat them, but they can definitely give them a run.
Donovan Mitchell is playing tonight. He just gave me a big fat 0 in the first quarter. That's all.
So he's playing. He's just not doing shit. Okay, that's good. Maybe he's still mad about, wasn't he mad last week or something?
I don't give a shit what he was.
You gotta have a team meeting. You gotta know what's going on with your players. I'm trying to be more in sync with what's happening with fantasy basketball. I didn't start paying attention until like week 8 or week 9 because that's when football was starting to get into the playoffs.
I was doing both last year.
I wasn't as in tune with my basketball situation. I'm trying to change that this year because I'm not just trying to use fantasy basketball to cope with the loss of football. I'm actually trying to succeed in fantasy basketball this year. I mean, I'm in 2 different leagues now, so I'm trying to pay attention. I'm trying to, look my, what percentage? Okay, he did this. Okay, I know this guy. I know who Royce O'Neal is. Just playing the waiver wire, just being active, and also listening to trades like the one I made with Terrell, CJ McCollum, Jalen Green. Jalen Green has been great for me.
Yeah, Murray's out for the rest of this month.
Jamal Murray?
Yeah. Hamstring. Shit.
Marla Chevrolet gonna need a new ad guy. Basketball skills doesn't teach mental strength. Yeah, so I think that they'll probably manage him as far as his injury and the timetable for when he returns. The Nuggets are still gonna win games. Slip to the 2nd seed at worst and still be like a class ahead of everybody around them. And still go to the finals. I don't know, like until further notice.
Who's going to beat them on the west side?
In Supreme Baller Society history. Oh shit, we're dropping Snapple facts now. They are the winningest team. We can look now at the league history now, seeing as how this is year 3 of the Supreme Baller Society. For the most part, it's just been, the same group. And now we have the league histories that we could look back on. If you're me or if you're Andrew, you're not looking back at the league history portion very fondly because for the last 2 years, it's been rough sledding. You can go into the league history. It's in those settings somewhere. You see it? Yeah. They'll show you the champions. Shout out to Sleeper for all the upgrades.
I haven't won a championship this year yet in that league. But I'm 27-17. I have the 2nd most wins in Supreme Ballers.
You're a consummate 3 seed or 4 seed.
And keep losing in the damn semis.
You're a 3 or 4 seed every year.
I'll win my first playoff game, lose the second one, and there I'm ousted.
Yes.
Both times I got eliminated, I lost to the eventual champion.
That is the story of
because RJ won it the first year,
making it Uzi,
and then the second year, Mac did.
What do you think it is? Like the guys he picked just fizzle out?
I don't know, but I do know I've lost to both eventual champions.
That's tough.
In the semifinals, I'm watching them win the championship, just saying to myself, and then I look at my consolation because I always just do it just to see.
What up, Eric?
I would beat whoever they played.
Nuggets back to back. You say the Nuggets win another championship this year, and
Murray's got to be there, and he's got to be healthy all year.
I'm not mad. That's
what helped them.
I mean, shit, they're definitely in my top 2.
They should.
It's them, Boston, and then again.
I just think the Bucks are with Dame. I think they might just go all the way and win it again. Giannis is just a special, talented player.
He is special. He is special. It's going to come down to the showdown. It's going to be Celtics versus Bucks, and whoever takes that series in 6, that's really what it comes down to, and those teams' abilities to stay healthy. Because if they don't stay healthy, then you're opening up a can of worms for the entire conference. And
Agreed.
the teams that we're not thinking about right now, the teams like the Atlanta Hawks of the world, that if they can get hot and get their shit together, they can.
And
knock
Terrell
some
has finally
teams out.
chimed in on the Sixers that he's very harsh on.
What up, bro?
Sixers finally know how to move the ball
Yeah.
around.
And that's the problem, I think, with the Bucks is the liability on defense. Their defense is
Night
dog
and day
shit.
from a Doc offense.
And that's what I give the Boston Celtics the advantage on, is the fact that the Celtics can play better on both sides of the basketball, whereas the Bucks took a hit as far as their defense. And part of that hit is now wearing a Celtics uniform. So it's going to be interesting to see, like in a 7-game format, how they deal with that. How they deal with the team that they know. Hell, for the Bucks, it's going to be interesting for the Bucks and the Celtics to figure out how to deal with the Miami Heat, because the Heat are going to be there. The Miami Heat are going to be there at the end, and they're going to be ready for a fight.
Just standing there staring at you.
Yeah, like the first 2 games in Miami. Somehow, they're like it's Bucks, it's Celtics, and then the consummate wild card, the strong wild card of the Miami Heat, who can beat everybody on that side. They can't get over the hump as far as the West side goes, but as far as the East goes, like Miami is a top dog. They still are. They're still an underrated top dog, because during the regular season, Miami gets beat up a lot. They're not, they're playing the long game.
Nobody wants to play them in the playoffs.
Nobody. Sixers
Emo Jimmy is going to the finals.
Night and day from the Doc offense. So it's looking like are Sixers fans liking this style of offense more than last
Nick
season
Nurse
with Doc
is
Rivers?
Predicated on movement of the ball.
Yeah, that's what worked in Toronto for him.
And he's got better players, honestly, now than he did in Toronto. Toronto didn't have a lot to work with besides Fred and the other dude. Other than that, like, he made this team a competitive team getting into the playoffs, even when Kawhi left. I mean, he was taking his team to the playoffs when they had DeRozan and
they're like a play-in team and
Kyle Lowry
after Kawhi, but they were still competing, still playing tough, still being a 9-10 seed.
I'm just interested what they're gonna do.
Maxi's playing out of his mind.
They're gonna make a move.
It's looking like the subtraction of James Harden has meant nothing but positive things for Tyrese Maxey to this point.
The Sixers still do need more, and I'm hoping it's Levine. I would love to get my hands on Levine.
They can improve or completely fuck up. You mean like wear down towards the end, maybe? Like you guys go on a run now, and then as we get later into the season and Embiid starts wearing down, they start losing games, and they fall out of favor as far as seeding goes, which happens sometimes. You can create a very tough round 1 for yourself very easily in the last week of the basketball season, depending on who's there and who's ready to go.
Miami offense would die in Harden or Embiid's hands. ISO ball doesn't work. I would agree with that.
Hopefully players stay active how they have been to this point. Sounding like
I mean, he's got Tobias Harris almost averaging 20 points a game. Doc couldn't do that.
We have to hold our breath with this basketball team, okay? Because we all know how things can get later on, but it's a good start. And roll with the good start. It's all positives. It's good to see that Tyrese Maxey is now thriving, now that he has the opportunity, and now he's getting put in center stage, because that was a critical talking point for us. With a Harden deal, it would mean more Maxey and maybe the exposure of Tyrese Maxey.
His ankle.
Cam Thomas?
Oof.
Maxey over Cam. Cam Thomas sprained his ankle?
I'm waiting for him to answer.
Nets haven't looked too bad this year either, right? They haven't been looking too shabby.
Spunky.
Yeah, spunky. Rockets actually were I think we're on a 3-game winning streak.
Spunky.
Frisky. Right? A little sizzle. I don't know. Just for Sixers fans, for Rockets fans, you spent so many years watching your organization do so many stupid things. So you just gotta
y'all should love what Oubre's bringing. I told you what Oubre was gonna bring. I don't know why y'all are shocked.
Who got him in our league?
Not me.
Who's got Oubre?
I wish.
Who's got Oubre?
Sixers 104, Celtics 96 with a minute left to go.
Wendell Carter is a good center. Wendell Carter. Yeah, we're seeing a level of consistency out of them to this point, but
The head
again,
chef
it's
has Kelly
early.
Oubre.
Oh shit!
He's actually having a
So
so far.
how's he doing for you this year so far? I know Jabari Smith has been good for me. I'm still waiting for Wemby to sort of have that like insane game. Shy Childress, Alexander has been doing great. Josh Giddey pissed me the freak off this week because I started him on Monday and he gave me like 13 or 11 points. So that totally sucked. I also have a lot of firepower that I left on the bench. Like I was leaving like 30-point guys
Damn.
on my bench this week. So hoping that my
That's
starts
never
tonight and Friday can kick up for me. I got a few starts left. I started Jalen Green tonight. I think I started Jabari Smith tonight. I started James Harden. So I'm looking for production from those particular players.
Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean has been diagnosed with a Liz Frank sprain, possibly heading towards an injured list.
Damn.
He said it was a good game, but he'd like to see what the Sixers do when Maxey isn't playing this good. Drew said he might start shopping Oubre. He needs a solid center. Sideshow Bob isn't doing it for me.
Well, the as far as what the Sixers will do with Maxey, they're gonna ride the wave. Like you get the good games, and you'll probably get the not so good games. So the Sixers will be a streaky team, and when Maxey is on, they'll potentially win more basketball games because of it, because the flow of the offense is better when he's on.
Agreed.
And when he's off, it'll be a struggle. And now you're looking for somebody to hit a shot in the corner. You know what I mean? You're looking for it just trickles down to where somebody else will have to fill in the gaps. Embiid's going to be Embiid and bring what he brings to the table. But the Sixers are just going to ride the wave right now. They're going to ride the wave the entire season as far as it can get them. This is year one for this head coach right now. They got rid of who they needed to get rid of, so things haven't gotten toxic for this particular team just yet. There is actually a trade now pending in the Supreme Baller Society as we are live. I'm just keeping on the comments. If you want to check out, it happens. It just happened right now. It's pending in Supreme Baller Society. It might have been with Drew. Drew said that he was trying to shop him. He might have just pulled a deal as we were just sitting here live talking. So yeah, I think Philly is just gonna when they're hot, and when they're not, Was it Oubre?
Terrell gets Oubre.
Terrell
and Drew gets Carter.
Wendell Carter.
Yeah.
For Oubre.
Yeah.
Interesting. Shout out to Rebel Hayes. Being super active, not just in fantasy football, but in fantasy basketball, making deals, getting them done, building his roster in his image. That's an interesting trade.
That is.
Well, you need centers, bro.
That's funny.
I got a couple of bigs. I just haven't been playing them at the right time, but they've been producing for sure. Just hoping I don't get any more damn ties. Like, what are the odds that a matchup ends at 275 apiece? Like, what the fuck? Like, you kidding me? Lions are 6-2, number 2 in the NFC, and no one is talking about them. We told you guys, not only did we tell you guys about the Detroit Lions, this guy next to me and Mike D booked them to be representing the NFC in this year's Super Bowl. So the signs were all there. I had them as the number 3 seed in the NFC side. They had their bye week coming off of a tough loss to the Baltimore Ravens, but I was not pushing the panic button on the Detroit Lions. If anything, I'm hitting the green button and trying to invest in the pieces of their offense coming off this bye week. This is the healthiest that this football team has been for the last 2 months. Jared Goff now has, I think, 8 of their last 9 games are going to be played inside of a dome. 8 of their last 9 games are going to be played inside of a dome. The weather is not an issue. They are already 6-2, light years ahead of everybody else in their own division. They pretty much have the North sealed. Now it's a question of how high up the chart in the NFC can they go this year. They are going to be a matchup nightmare in the playoffs for whoever they have to play at any level, no matter what the seeding is, because they have a defense that is going to be juiced up and ready for the challenge. They have a quarterback that has been to the highest level. I mean, the dude lost at the Super Bowl, so he got there though. So a quarterback that is going to perform, and a head coach that is going to have these guys ready to compete and ready to go out there and bite kneecaps off. The Lions are legit. The Dolphins are frauds. The Bills are frauds. The Lions are every bit as real as we thought they would be, and
Told you they were.
maybe even better. Because maybe this is the sleeping giant that when we talk about who's going to be able to step up to the plate when it comes to facing the Niners and the Eagles at the end, maybe it's Detroit. Maybe it's Detroit. Like at least they have a shot in hell, because I think that the little bit of confidence that I had in Dallas's ability to beat Philly, even though I picked Philly to win, was kind of lost in the matchup, the way that played out. Now it's a situation where it's like Dallas needs to beat them, and not for nothing, sort of like the Bills, the Cowboys need to get a real win under their belt, which this week going up against the Giants and DeVito, that's not gonna, that gives you a win that you need, but you got to beat a real team. You got to beat a Lions type of team, in order to. Otherwise, you're a fraud too. It's week 10. We're divvying out the pretenders and the contenders. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. Golf and St. Brown stack is all I care about. We care about the Lions. We care about the Lions. They are a threat. They were a threat last year. Lakers would be a crazy team if they had Kuzma still.
Well, they didn't, because LeBron didn't think he was part of the future.
That was just a debacle. I just wonder how it's going to play. What's going to be the storyline for the Lakers this year? See, I'm so far behind with everything that I haven't even gotten that ready. Like the excuses that are going to be made by that side if the Lakers underachieve again and fall flat on their face. Not trying to hear that. Who are we talking about? Who's young? Goff lost in the shittiest Super Bowl ever played. He absolutely did, but he did get there. So it's not like the Lions are going to have an inexperienced quarterback at the helm when it comes time for the playoffs. If anything, I mean, for their city to be able to host a playoff game for the first time in so long, like the energy in that field is going to be completely insane. And if you're the visiting team, the wild card team, you're going to have to be able to match the energy that the Lions are going to be bringing. And, I think that this week the Chargers are going to have to match the Lions' energy, because I know that they're trying to get the bad taste out of their mouth after the Ravens shellacked them. So that's going to be one of the interesting marquee matchups of this week's slate. You got the Chargers going up against the Detroit Lions. I think this is where the Chargers turn back into pumpkins and the Detroit Lions go out there and remind people, like, yeah, we're still legit.
Sam Laporta to the moon.
Like, we are still legit. We are a top 3 team on the NFC side, and you guys are going to talk about us more because we are that damn good. Like, I got nothing but good things to say about Detroit. I already knew that they were going to lose to Baltimore. Like, that's just that. Look at what happened to Seattle this past. Like, Seattle got
shellacked.
Yeah, they got trounced by the Baltimore Ravens and the defense and
Lamar
the run
Jackson
game.
is now 18-1 against NFC teams.
If he's not on your side and you're not playing him constantly, you just don't know what to really throw at him. And for those who were banging the table that he needs to improve on his decision making, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. I see a guy out there right now that is slowly but surely checking everything off of the list, making good decisions with the football, being careful with the football, not putting up eye-popping numbers. But he already said he doesn't care about your parlays. The Ravens are out there winning freaking football games. And this is the best defense that this Ravens team has had in years. It's been leaky. This defense right here, they're a problem. He could mess around and have another good day against what some people believe arguably is the best defense in the Cleveland Browns. But he chopped them up already. This is the second meeting between these two football teams. I wouldn't be excited to start Deshaun Watson against this defense. Are you kidding me? gonna chew them up and spit them out. It's gonna be brutal. Staying the freak away from this game completely. I got Justin Tucker. I've got and I got Zay Flowers. And Zay Flowers is one of those things that I'm still kind of debating in my heart, where it's just like he could be MIA for a big portion of the game. The coverage could be good, but I don't really have good options because I have Zay Flowers in a league where I have Eagles players, I have Chiefs players. It's a bye week. I have Dolphins players, so I can't really plug anybody else in. It's either Zay Flowers or Tajay Spears against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think that if anything, Zay Flowers is the safer play out of those two.
You may be right.
You know, because I don't. The Bucks run defense isn't bad. It's just everything else. It's not the run defense. It's just everything else that's just associated with them. LeBron's on a minutes restriction. Let's go Rockets. Yeah, it's Flowers. I don't really have I have no room to really get cute. I don't have the players this week to get cute because everybody's on bye. My Dolphin stack is on bye. Rashee Rice is on bye. Who else do I have in that league? DeAndre Swift, Swift is somebody I've been starting every single week ever since his performance early on. But yeah, I'd ride him with Zay Flowers. Just hope he gets a deep bomb and don't even look at the score after that. Because that's going to be an ugly game. But as far as Lamar Jackson, we're potentially talking about one of the top MVP candidates right now in a very ugly season. When you think about the list, like who's on there, Stroud might have made an argument to be on the list, bro. Like, what are we doing here? Like, the list is crazy right now. We're gonna throw Mahomes up there because he's Mahomes. He hasn't been playing like an MVP.
RJ said Tank Dell's a must start for him this week.
Woo! Man, that dude's electric, bro. And not for nothing, Nico Collins went out and had a good week too. So we're talking about an offense that's attached to CJ Stroud, where now you have two potential must-start wide receivers. Forget about what's going on in the running back room. Don't worry about that. But you got Collins, you've got Dell, you've got Dalton freaking Schultz, who's out there making a name for himself in the tight end position. Like, Tank Dell is definitely a must start.
Should be a front runner MVP. Tua's balling.
It's slim pickings as far as the MVP conversation in my eyes. And Tua is in that conversation. He hurt his argument this past week by the loss. However, again, it's rough, man, because it's ugly out here. It's Tua, it's Lamar, and how far is CJ Stroud really from the conversation at the end of the day? Like we've talked about how Mahomes
right now to me it's between Tua and Lamar, but Tua did hurt himself with this weekend, but Lamar's got to do the same. Lamar's going to face some of the same teams, so
yes, he is.
He needs to beat them.
Yes, he is. I think that they beat the Browns this week. I don't see a path where the Browns win that football game.
You don't?
Nah, I don't see it. I think the Ravens know how to play them and beat them. They've done it already. You're not going to stray away from what worked for you. It's going to be on the Browns' ability to make adjustments to what didn't work for them, and Deshaun Watson's ability to deliver the football and go down the field on this defense. I give the edge to the Ravens defense, a defense that I am starting confidently this week. My favorite defensive plays this week are the Baltimore Ravens. I'm actually staying away from the Cleveland Browns. I'm not dropping Cleveland. I just don't like this particular matchup. It's Baltimore Ravens, Seattle Seahawks, Las Vegas Raiders. I like them a lot. Those are the defenses that I want to roll with. And the Jets. I'll throw the Jets out there. I'll give them a shot.
Celtic fans could go find their lucky pot of gold. Statement game by the boys in Philly.
I don't think that anything that the Yankees are talking about right now is newsworthy. I think it's just all stupid bullshit. And I am enjoying my time away from the New York Yankees right now. I'm repping them. You know what I mean? I'm debuting the new hat here on tonight's podcast because it's a special night. We're here live from the Sports Lounge, but I am not feeding into anything that the Yankees are saying about anything. As far as adding bunting, that's not news. That's nothing. That's why are you even telling reporters these types of things? Like, what is
your purpose?
What are we doing here? Like, what are we talking
Isn't
about?
that a part of baseball?
Yeah, like I'm not doing it. I don't care. Statement game. Oh, did Philly win? The Sixers win the game? Okay. All right. So some of the games are actually
6 in a row.
Some of the games are wrapping up right now. Does anybody know the score of the Rockets-Lakers game at the moment? I know we're playing the Lakers right now. I know we were up earlier. I think old Money's probably looking for it right now. RJ's asking about the lounge. Don't ignore him. I didn't see when you posted that 8-1.
The Rockets are beating the Lakers 66-45 at halftime.
66-45. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have to say as far as the Yankees go.
I kind of figured that.
Let's go. BLA. BLA, baby.
It's 20 points almost.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing well, bro. They're doing well. It's nice to see. They're fun to watch. I will say that. It's fun to watch Rockets basketball again. So I'm not going to overhype them, but it's just been a nice way to just distract myself from the harsh reality of what the Yankees are right now, what they've become, and how far removed they are from actually being what I want them to be. I think it is. They made a lot of the right moves in the offseason. Van Fleet has been a good add. Everybody's playing their part. Our young guys are still not just producing, but seems like they're all sort of developing and meshing well together. And Jabari,
if they brought Harden back, that would have killed a lot.
It would have destroyed us. And Jabari is, the guy that I was the most excited about, and he's playing to the level that, he's playing to the level of excitement that I had for him is the best way to describe that. So it feels good to be a Rockets fan again. I might order myself a jersey. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, it's a different look. It's good coaching. It's not getting lost in analytics, not allowing not allowing one basketball player to dictate the future of the entire basketball team for 5 to 6 years, not destroying your basketball team to keep a particular basketball player happy for 1 to 2 years just so that they can go and quit to the next team. It's about actually staying put, working
Terrell,
in the
crazy,
trenches
Terrell.
and putting together a respectable organization, which is what the Houston Rockets are doing right now with the group that they have. So I'm all for it, bro.
I don't know what Terrell's smoking today.
I'm all for it.
Should we resign Nola? Bro, he wants $30 million a year. I'm not paying him $30 million a year.
Pay him before we do.
They practically
pay him before we do, because we'll pay him.
And they practically told Reese Hoskins it's time to pack your bags and leave because Harper is staying at first.
And Van Fleet, we trust. I think Van Fleet is sort of like a Jared Goff type player where you're surrounded by a lot of youth and you need that one particular vet to kind of bridge the gap from now until the young guys are ready truly to take over and fill that spot. Van Fleet still has some juice. He can still play at a high level. He has a high IQ for basketball. It's great as far as what it's done for the identity of the basketball team, where last year we weren't playing defense, and this year, lo and behold, we are. So I think he fits the mold of like that Jared Goff type player. You're around the young guys, and there's a lot of talent there, but you need focus. You need to harness the talent. You need voices in the locker room to keep everybody, on the same page. And it seems like Van Fleet is doing a great job of translating Udoka's message. So I'm all for it. I've got nothing but positive things to say about the Rockets. It feels great to be a Rockets fan right now. It really does. I'm excited.
That's good.
That was a question. Don't resign. Solid in fantasy. Who, Van Fleet? I usually don't draft him in fantasy. This year, I went Rockets heavy because all the guys I wanted were just sitting there. So I said, fuck it. Let me get my guys.
You did.
I I had to change my strategy this year in the basketball league. Last year, drafting KD was a mess after he got hurt. I don't remember what I did the first year at all. Don't remember any of it. And so this year, I went with a lot of homer picks and a lot of cats that I just like, man. A lot of cats that I have high hopes for this season with SGA and Wemby and the guys like that. So
let me see something.
I'll be watching Houston basketball. He did his thing in Toronto.
Oof.
As far as being a mentor and the new captain when this guy left Miami. Time spent after Lowry trade, he did amazing. Yeah, he did well. He developed. He did well. The Raptors.
You have the third worst record.
What?
Lifetime.
Yes. That's me.
14, 28, and 2. Drew's 14 and 30.
Drew, don't look at the league history, bro. It is
Rob
not going to
is
shine.
16, 24, and 2.
It's not going to shine brightly on us. I warn you. It's been tough, bro. It's been tough in Supreme Ballers for a couple of us. It's still early, though, so we have the hope. We have the optimism. We feel as though we can make the right changes in time. You know, the Rockets made the changes, so why can't I? Why can't the Ministry of Ties? We can do it. Drew can do it, right? Got to believe. 1-0-1, you know, a little bit of adversity never hurt anyone.
Don't you believe in love after love?
I don't want to tie next week. I want to figure out how to not tie because that was infuriating. I thought I was going to steal a victory, and then everything just stops. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? You don't see the red line. I don't see no lines.
That's crazy, bro.
I just saw a score that was identical to my opponent. And I was like, there's no way in hell that 2 weeks into the season, I already fucking tied.
I can't believe we still have ties. I thought we got rid of that.
You can't. I don't know. I don't know how you would at this point. I think that the tie is a staple of Supreme Baller Society at this point, 3 years in. And as much as you hate it, just leave it.
You're
We'll do it live.
Stupid.
We'll do it live. I even guess you did. You definitely did give me a rocket. You gave me the rocket that I wanted. I absolutely appreciate it. Jalen Green has been great at the guard position for me. He ain't the reason I tied. He gave me the 30 points that I needed, but
did he now?
He's on the top of that list. I haven't looked. The way he took the leadership role into it. Yeah, and that's the key word for it, Drew. And for you, you've always been you're like one of the godfather basketball heads of the forum back when we only had like 20 members in the freaking forum. Like you helped pioneer the basketball talk. So at that time we saw what the Raptors were and what Van Fleet was. And he's proven himself to be a great leader wherever he is. And, you know, bringing a certain level of expectations along with his game and for everybody who's associated to be like, yo, like we're here to play winning basketball now. We're not just here to try to score 35, 40 points. Like this is a different look and a different feel, you know, and he brings that along with, you know, a head coach that also brings that and instills that in players. And we know that
was a great pickup.
Things ended really messy in Boston, and he needed a fresh coat of paint. He needed a new look, and it just so happens that his new look happened to be a team that had a ton of draft capital and a lot of raw young talent that with the right people in place, we're talking about the potential for a basketball team that can contend not just 1 to 2 years, but now like 6 to 7 years, you know, like trying to, you know, see like how much you can get out of this. We may not have the same amount of draft picks as OKC does, but still definitely a lot to work with. Giannis just got ejected for something. I'm just getting the sleeper alert since we're talking basketball, hitting you with the up-to-date news. Doku, oh shit, I forgot about him. Yeah, that's our head coach, bro. Not trying to make this the Houston Rocket hour, but it's not really like I didn't really talk about them much when we were breaking down the playoffs for NBA. I didn't expect much, but it's cool to see. You know, it's cool to see with some of these young teams, like when we said earlier, like what teams can throw their names into the raffle and not necessarily beat a Nuggets team, but take them 5-6, and
Get a gentleman's sweep.
yeah, like gentleman's sweep, just a respectable way to go out and something to build off of heading into next season, compared to being a basketball team that's trending backwards, that's spending money poorly and drafting stupidly and not making the right moves to make you feel like, yeah, this team's going to be around in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did he get ejected for? I didn't actually see it. Who started Giannis? Is the better question, because now if you chose to start him on tonight's game, you have to live with the ejection for the remainder of this evening. So
halftime just started, so
that's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. Sheesh. So yeah, we're heading into week 10. I think it's a good time to reveal my start of the week. Last week's start of the week did not go well, but I know now to not get my hopes high on the Jets ever again, because that's just what happens when you go into.
Yeah, Breece Hall.
It was Breece Hall. Then that's the second time I picked him as my start of the week. The first time he hit me with a 73-yard touchdown that week. This past week, didn't get the same return on the investment with him. I'm gonna stick to running backs though, again, for my start of the week this week. This one, I'm switching it up. I think this one is going to be one that if you haven't given up on him yet, you're going to be very excited about to hear this name. Somebody who might have been forgotten in the annals of time compared to the conversation back in August. But my start of the week for week 10 is none other than Tony Pollard. That is right. Tony Pollard going up against the New York Football Giants. I'd say temper expectations if you have Dak Prescott, because I think that this is going to be a tailor-made game for Tony Pollard. I think that the Cowboys defense is going to create a lot of turnovers. So I don't see a world where the Cowboys keep airing it out. They won't have to air it out to beat the Giants. They will be using Tony Pollard a sufficient amount of time. So I will say that Tony Pollard is the official Week 10 start of the week, going up against the New York Football Giants and Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito and the Giants.
Not a bad
The
play.
tanking Giants. Operation Tank Job in full effect. For my on-the-money picks, I look to keep my good streak alive. I've gone 9-1 in the last 2 weeks on my picks. I went 4-1 last week. My overall record currently stands at 29-16. I am absolutely obliterating Mikey and Oscar right now with my picks. And I am starting from the top, a game that we mentioned earlier. I've got the Baltimore Ravens beating the Cleveland Browns. I think Watson is just not going to play well against this defense. It's as simple as that. And the Ravens are going to do what they need to do, like they have on a week in, week out basis to win this football game. And that'll be a clean sweep of their AFC North division rivals.
Oof.
I've got the Detroit Lions beating the Los Angeles Chargers fresh off their bye week and the ass whooping that they got from the Ravens.
Laporta to the moon.
Laporta to the moon. And again, now we're seeing a Lions team that is fully healthy for the first time in a while, because now David Montgomery's coming back into the fold. Amon-Ra St. Brown's healthy. Laporta's there. Everything, all the pieces now are there for a team that's already 6-2 without those pieces. So, I expect good things for the Lions, and I expect good things for them on Sunday, and I expect them to give the Chargers some problems this week. My number 3 pick, another team coming off of their bye week. I've got the San Francisco 49ers beating the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to be interesting to see, the new look defense with, everybody in their position, everybody healthy. Deebo Samuel coming back into the fold. So now we're seeing, we saw what Brock Purdy did when everybody was there for him. That's going to happen again. So we might see better performance from him and them potentially ending their 3-game losing streak. My number 4 pick, time to get a little spicy. I've got the New Orleans Saints beating the Minnesota Vikings. I'm loving the feel-good moment that Josh Dobbs had last week. Last week isn't this week. This Saints defense, I think, is going to give him some problems. And I think that the Saints can do just enough to, escape this week with a victory. But it's going to be for sure it's going to be an interesting game. With the Saints, it's more of a question of them playing for the division still, and the Vikings, it's a question of playing for wild cards. So there's something there for both teams, and a loss would be detrimental to either side. My final pick, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals beating the Houston Texans. I love what Stroud did last week. Last week ain't this week. This is a different type of defense. Cincinnati's back right now. Jamar Chase did not practice today. Very interesting to keep tabs and monitor
The
the
way he
situation
talked
with
about it
Jamar
the other day
Chase.
sounded like he was going to miss time.
Maybe it wasn't spicy. I don't know. Saints defense will give them that's how I look at that matchup. I give the edge to the Saints defense, and I think that with their defense coming to play, similar to how the Cowboys defense is going to come to play this weekend, that's not going to require their offense to do anything crazy. They're just going to, manage the possessions they have. I'd probably put in a pick for an anytime touchdown on Alvin Kamara, because that's probably a guarantee. Everything else, not so much, because the Vikings defense isn't that bad. But I definitely give the edge to the Saints defense. And with Jamar Chase, I don't know. What do you think? What say you? T. Higgins to the moon, baby.
Yeah.
We saw it last week. T. Higgins was back in full effect, and he almost had a touchdown too. So for those of you who are sitting and waiting patiently for the time, T. Higgins is here, and hopefully he's here to stay. Bengals offense is stable. Like Tyler Boyd is getting
I
in
thought
on
it
the
was
action.
interesting, though, that he had that calf getting heated on the sideline again.
Yeah, that's going to continue to be a thing. But it's good to see Joe Burrow running, though. It's definitely good to see him running compared to being the sitting duck that he was early in the season. It's just good to it's good to get the fantasy production from the players that you expected to get the fantasy production from day one. A lot of guys aren't doing that right now. Patrick Mahomes is not doing that right now.
No, he is not.
So it's good to get it from some of the day ones and feel good about that, and not have to take these crazy ass chances on a week in, week out basis. You take the T. Higgins of the world. If you haven't traded him away, you plug him into that flex spot, and you can feel good again before going to bed on Saturday night, because you know that T. Higgins is going to be there for you. He's going to be there for you, He's going to get you those 16 points, 17 points, potentially get into the end zone. I definitely see him getting into the end zone up against the Houston Texans. So it's just, and now if Jamar Chase is not playing this week, I still think the Bengals win the game, but now we're talking about Higgins getting hyper targeted. So now you're looking at a ridiculous amount of T. Higgins. And whoever you traded T. Higgins to, hopefully it's not the guy that you have to play this week, because now you got to stare across at him. He has T. Higgins, and T. Higgins is dropping a 45 bomb on your head. Because you wanted to be impatient, because you wanted to, give up on the Bengals and say that they're worthless and they're not going to, we know, I told you guys, they start notoriously slow. This year was a little bit slower, but guess what? They ain't slow no more. Now we're talking about them looking like a top 3 team in the AFC again, because it ain't the Bills. They already handled them.
It ain't the Bills.
It's Kansas City, as ugly as it's been. It's Baltimore, and it's Cincinnati. And then everybody fits in underneath that. You can have the argument about everybody else, but those are the top 3. On the other side, it's Philly. It's still San Fran. It's Detroit. And you can fit everybody else in underneath however you want to. I don't care.
Yeah.
You can argue about the rest, but that's the situation. That's what we're taking into week 10. That's what we know as of right now. That's all we know, because this shit could change.
By next week.
If you were to have a start of the week, who would you say? Like, who's, even if it's one, go with the homer pick, a guy that you have in your lineup right now that you're starting that guy and you're not worried, you're not stressed.
Joshua Dobbs.
Oh shit, that's crazy. Really? Yeah. Why?
I think Dobbs with his running ability, mixing in. Jordan Addison's going to get some more play. Hawkinson.
Nobody can afford to to lose Chase, bro.
Dump offs to Madison.
We already had to play without him.
And then just imagine next week if he comes back. Jetta.
Jay Jetta. Hopefully he comes back and is ready
Dobbs
to...
about to take the Vikings to the playoffs.
So we're going to insert the Vikings into that wild card spot that we originally had for the Giants.
Yeah.
Is that what we're about to do?
I'm getting close.
A little bit of 7-seed surgery.
Well, the Giants are already eliminated.
Oh, yeah. They're dead. The Giants are dead.
Ring the Undertaker bell. It's over.
They're done. They flatlined. They're about to get trounced this week. I don't know when they're going to win a football game again. I am not excited at all about playing Saquon Barkley in any situation now that I know they're going to stack the box against them every single week. So, yeah.
Should have treated him in Dynasty.
I didn't like the offers at the time. I'd rather, I knew there was a good chance the Giants weren't going to meet expectations this year. What I didn't know is that they were going to flat out just unravel the way they have, I was playing the matchups like I always have been when it comes to Saquon. And then he gets hurt, and, I've been playing Tajay Spears every freaking week. It's been CMC and Spears. And, 11 points is better than no points, I guess.
Yeah.
When a guy's sitting on your IR spot for a month and you can't do shit with him. I'm 7-2 in that league. I stole the victory from Nick. Thanks to his own boy, CeeDee Lamb, with the last-minute effort by Dallas to try to score. They give the ball to CeeDee, and he gives me just enough garbage time to I think I beat Nick by less than half of a full point.
Yeah. They should have spiked the ball.
To go to
that
72.
was a McCarthy. That was McCarthy's idea. I guarantee you. Run it.
The Cowboys choked. That's all there is to it. There's no Cowboys choked.
Because up until that point, Dak Prescott played a really good game.
They lost. They had to beat the Eagles. They didn't. Now, I don't think that they'll beat the Eagles the second time. I think the Eagles sweep them now. But It's a question of, I'm pretty sure that you thought they'd probably win the first game. They just not
They lost it by
like
a combined foot and a half.
It's hard to win when you're getting tombstone pile drivered by the defensive front over and over and over. Once I saw that, I knew Dallas wasn't winning that football game. There's no way. They can't defend the tush push. They have no answer for that.
Nobody can. I told you what I would do.
They have no answer for that.
Y'all think I'm a dirty player. I'd pop him in the head
at the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys, no matter what play they decided to call, are in the same category as the Miami Dolphins, the same category as the Buffalo Bills. They haven't beaten anybody worth beating. So until then, I will not favor them against the Eagles the second time. Not doing it. Sorry. I'm taking the Eagles money line on that all day. In Dallas this week, you got the Giants. Congratulations. You got a toss up. You got somebody you can beat up, and then we'll see what happens when it comes down to, because Dallas and Detroit play soon, so that's a big one. And Dallas is in a position where you're still a wild card team, but you gotta go out there and beat some of these teams that you may have to play in January. Otherwise, it's going to be the same old song and dance. And we heard it this last weekend. I heard it. Stephen A. Smith laughing at the camera again. If they lose to the Giants, let's relax.
You sounding crazy.
Let's relax.
The Giants ain't beating nobody.
The Giants already lost. The Giants ain't beating anybody.
Poor Giants.
I would be a menace in the Chiefs. In the chats and forums. Yeah, Dallas right now is trying to get the bad taste out of their mouth from last week, trying to get another division win under their belt. And, now moving forward, they've lost to the 49ers, right? They lost to the Eagles. All that's left is to lose to Detroit, just to cement the fact that they're frauds. That's it. There's nobody else. Those are the teams you need to beat, So if they can beat Detroit, I'll give them credit where it's due, but they haven't done anything. Miami hasn't done anything besides give me fantasy points. The Bills haven't done anything. Why am I going to hype them up? Why am I going to sit there and give them the edge over anybody? They haven't done shit. They're all losers. I want to talk about teams that are winning football games. the teams that deserve it. At the end of the day, bro. That's all there really is to it. The Cincinnati's, the Baltimore's, hell, freaking Pittsburgh, freaking Detroit. You know, and rubbing people's faces the teams that I got right back in August. Giants should be focusing on Caleb Williams.
I don't know if I don't want him to be my quarterback.
What about if the Panthers are focusing on Caleb Williams? Like, what about if they just go out and draft another quarterback, right? Because Bryce Young isn't, like, the answer, right? We realize now that they messed that up because I'm pretty sure CJ Stroud just...
I get it, but you can't write a guy off after... That's the problem. Like, you can't write off a kid after 1 year.
Panthers are in a great position for the draft next year. My whole thing is...
You draft another quarterback, you're setting your franchise back even further.
I'm just curious. Like, what do they do then?
You got to go after the linemen. Offensive linemen.
Ugh.
Protect them.
We can't rule them out, though, as far as the possibility.
I will.
I can't. I'm not going to rule the Panthers out yet.
You do that, then...
I'm not going to rule the Panthers out.
You're not going to be able to trade Young for what you think you can get. So, no.
We'll see. That's pending.
I can't see that at all.
That's pending. I'm not going to rule it out because Bryce Young has been dog shit so far.
You can't rule the kid out because of one. That's what we do now. If a guy doesn't produce within the first 8 to 10 weeks of his career, he's a bust. We can't do that. You cannot do that. It's too early. It's too early. He is not the only problem on that team. That team is just bad. Who's their number one wide receiver? Who's their tight end?
It's clear that the Texans have drafted better than the Panthers to this point.
But the Texans have also been
guys
aided.
That are performing are
the Texans have also been aided by the first round picks of the Cleveland Browns.
Fleece job.
So when you got multiple number ones and twos, you can draft well.
Carolina allowed the Bears to fleece them.
Yeah. Which could have been a bigger fleece. I still feel like that should have been a bigger haul for the Chicago Bears.
It's a great haul for them. But, yeah, maybe they could have gotten a little bit more. But by all means, it's a fleece job.
Because if Chicago keeps losing, I mean, that could be it for Justin Fields there.
Yeah, I guess Caleb Watch isn't what it once was, but it's still a thing, and it's still something that we need to monitor. I think he's turned
off with his behaviors, which I'm not saying are bad.
Makes sense.
But his behaviors the last couple of weeks, him not being able to beat winning teams, and now people are making excuses for him saying USC is just a terrible football team. No, man.
We have more tank candidates as well now than we did a couple of weeks ago. Like, we're looking at a couple of teams now that have tank written all over them, you know, and certain teams like the Cardinals, like they're plugging Kyler Murray in there, so they're throwing the swerve out there, but I'm not ruling them out as far as, you know, you got the Giants, you've got the Panthers, you've got the Cardinals. There's a lot of tank vibes that are still out there strong and heavy right now for some of these
anything,
teams.
the Panthers could pick Marvin Harrison Jr., an offensive weapon right off the bat. It's about getting the kid help. It's about filling the rest of the holes in the team. That team's got a lot of holes.
Yeah, and we're going to see more of those holes because now the Panthers' defense is not healthy whatsoever. They're going to be missing key pieces tomorrow night in what promises to be another hideous Thursday night football game. Panthers versus Bears. Buckle up. Get ready for some terrible football. And if you're really going to start somebody, just make it a good start and stay the hell away from the game. Don't do what I do sometimes on Thursdays and start going heavy because you think certain things are going to happen a certain way. Just don't do that to yourself because then you have to sit and look at that all weekend up until Sunday and ask yourself how you're going to recover from your Thursday night shenanigans. If you got Adam Thielen,
start him.
You start Adam Thielen. All right. If you feel confident to start DJ Moore, you start DJ Moore. You flex DJ Moore. How's that? Put him in the flex spot. Just throw him out there. If you are one of these people that is confident enough because you heard that Khalil Herbert is coming off of IR to start any of the Chicago Bears running backs, you go right ahead and do that. It ain't going to be me. I dropped Roschon this week to pick up other guys on waivers. And if I was to bet on anybody to cross the goal line as far as the running backs in Chicago,
Foreman.
It would be Deontay Foreman. So I'm staying the hell away from that situation. I am in a position where I have to start Chuba Hubbard because that's how ugly it is for me in that particular league with bye weeks and injuries and yada, yada, yada. I'm firing up Chuba Hubbard, and I'm not even going to look at the score. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know. I just need him to cash in for a touchdown. That's it. Anything else, though, I'm not doing it. Don't want Bryce. Don't want any of that. Don't want it. Don't need it. I'll wait till Sunday. I'd rather wait until 9:30 in the morning and put more eggs in the Colts-Patriots basket than to waste my time with what's going to happen tomorrow night because I already know it's going to be disgusting. Don't put your Thursday players in the flex spot. Bad strategy. I mean, depending on what's going on.
Tyson Bagent.
Depending on what's going on. Because if your entire lineup on the bench is on bye this week, it don't even matter anyway. There's nobody to substitute him with. There's nobody to take him out for. If he's better than the flex options that you have, you throw him out there. You fire him up. The DJ Moore, it's been rough sledding, but you got to remember with DJ
his
Moore,
production's tied to
what
Justin Fields.
What good quarterback has DJ Moore ever had? Like we don't start DJ Moore because he has good quarterbacks. We start DJ Moore because you want the upside of the boom plays that he can bring you. It's a lot like having a Tyler Lockett sort of a situation. You start Tyler Lockett because you want the boom. If you're starting DJ Moore tomorrow night, maybe you don't want to wait until Sunday. Hell, maybe you're one of those people that you have Debo, but you don't know if he's ready to play. You're not feeling this too good about Jordan Addison or Drake London, so you fire up, said player and you hope for the best. I'm starting DJ Moore. Fuck it. I'm starting him. Starting him in Dynasty. I'm starting Cole Kmet. That's somebody who I feel good about starting because Bagent absolutely loves Kmet, so I'm firing him up. And that's about it. I'm not touching anybody in that football game besides that. Whew, that was a hell of a boom. 3 touchdowns in a day. That's boom, boom.
200 yards receiving.
That is boom, 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 bro. Like,
give me that all day long.
Bro, like that shit is, you can live off that for a couple of weeks getting production like that from people. It's like when Gardner Minshew gave me 56 points. I wasn't expecting that. I'm starting Gardner Minshew with no expectations. I got 56 points. I felt like a genius. Zach Moss, a month and a half ago, when you guys were plugging him into your lineups, what were the expectations? It couldn't have been as high as it actually got. It wasn't him breaking for a 50-yard plus touchdown. Well, I know that. It happens,
You're right.
Yeah, Kmet is definitely a guy that I'm feeling good about as far as throwing a guy out there to try to have the early advantage heading into Sunday, knowing that he is going to get a good amount of targets because history of Tyler Bagent now shows Tyler Bagent throws to Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
A lot. So fire up Cole Kmet, guys. Don't be scared. And next week we have football on Sunday. So we may have some time for a little bit of feelings ball on Sunday during the slate of games. We got action all day long. Big matchups across the board, big fantasy implications. Seeing how some of these trades that were made this week pan out in the big picture, which is going to be interesting. Teams that are fighting for their lives and teams that we already know it's time to ring the bell on them. Key matchups, on the money picks. It's all going down. And then next week, same time, same place, we will be live for another edition of On the Money podcast. And we will be sprinkling in the Supreme Ballers Society talk. Breaking down what's been going on in the world of basketball. I think we've been having some good, healthy conversations last couple of weeks about basketball, and I want to keep doing that. That's in large part because of the basketball heads that we have that follow along, that are part of the forum, part of the league. You guys help to remind us to, it's basketball season. We have to bring it out there. Baseball's done. Basketball can now fill that void of no baseball, and we've got the leagues to talk about. We've got players to break down. and, starting to track what some of these underdog teams could potentially look like that can be in the playoff picture later on in the season, giving teams like the Nuggets and the Celtics potentially a run for their money.
You're right.
Yeah, so
I agree.
Yeah. So look out Sunday for at least a little bit of feelings ball, at least a little bit. And then next week, look out for another edition of On the Money Podcast, where we come back here, we meet up, we break down everything we got right, we break down everything that we got wrong, we stand firm and hold ourselves accountable. And for those of you who tuned in tonight, get used to the new look. For those of you who have been following us along on this journey since the beginning, we love you, we appreciate you, and I, for one, am very, very, very excited for what's in store, not just to round out this remainder of this football season, but going into 2024 and everything that we want to do with Nostalgia Mania and everything. Just hang tight. It is about to get freaking crazy for On the Money Sports and the potential On the Money Sports Network. That's right. But until then, we'll leave it at that. Tonight, we thank you. We appreciate you for tuning in. Great feedback, great comments. Love the basketball and football talk, and looking forward to having more of it, maybe on Sunday over a beer. A little bit of feelings.
And watch out for Sunday for my On the Money picks on TikTok. I also share it on Facebook.
On the Money
Be
picks.
sure to follow
see
it.
If these guys can
so
turn
you
it
see
around.
Updates.
Yes, sir.
So until then, we will see you next week, same time, same place.
Peace.
Full circle. And as Larry Sabisco did, see you guys next